Coming up, sometimes our best future rides are the ones from the past. Kitt was way ahead of its time. We're going to meet up with Knight Rider 2.0 and figure out what it'll take to make you the next Hasselhoff. That's when we come back.
The greatest television show of all time is Knight Rider.
The Wire, Breaking Bad.
All pale in comparison to Knight Rider.
MASH, I Love Lucy, Mary Tyler Moore.
All wish they could have been Knight Rider.
So if you could have taken a ride in Kitt?
Oh, that would have been the greatest day of my life.
Hey Kitt, the people at the Daily Planet want to make you famous again.
After what I've been through, a little publicity might help reinforce my self-image.
Talk about a throwback. You might recognize this talking car from a popular TV show from the 80s.
I'm a car whiz that made Kitt come to life in my Knight Rider replica.
Chris Blasius might seem a little young to be a true Knight Rider fan, but building this car has been his life ambition since he was a boy.
The first time I ever thought about actually building the car was when I was actually 6 years old. My parents thought I was crazy. I even begged them to let me buy a Trans Am or for them to actually buy a Trans Am for me. They said I would grow out of it, and I'm 35 years old now, and I still haven't grown out of it.
Getting the parts together was no easy task.
So with this being a 1982 Trans Am, there was a lot of one-year-only parts. A lot of these parts were very difficult to find.
It took him 2 years to find a clean 1982 Pontiac Trans Am, but he had to replace the roof with a T-top off another Trans Am.
The hardest things of actually recreating this car was finding the one-off parts, and you're working with a car that really doesn't exist, and with parts that really don't exist. So there's a lot of fabrication.
Chris started to build the parts specific to Kitt, like the steering wheel, the dashboard, and the lights. He even enlisted the expert for help.
Michael Chaffee, which was the original designer of the car. I've met him a couple times and asked him questions like, why did you do it this way when you were building the car? And he had something like 2.5 weeks to build this car when Universal said, hey, we want to build this show of a car that talks.
Chris took his time to get it right.
Probably the absolute hardest part to find was the back glass for the car. It took me about 4 years to find. On Knight Rider, if you ever notice that the back glass has no defrost lines in it, and it's perfectly clear. I had a friend reach out to every glass place pretty much in America and found one for me in California. They shipped it to Ohio, which was ridiculously expensive.
It cost him nearly $50,000 from concept to creation.
There's also a guy in Georgia that built the dash for me. He built it out of foam and then molded the foam and then laid the fiberglass. And then this is worldwide too. Alessandro is out of Italy, and he actually made all the electronics for the car, and the electronics actually work with the values of the car.
As for the labor, more than 2,000 hours of manpower went into this.
One of the hardest parts of actually making this car look the way that it is the front bumper. I give props to my friend Mark. He spent about a year actually molding this front bumper out of foam. He would overlay it into Photoshop to make sure that every single angle of the front bumper was screen accurate to the actual Kitt car.
But the trait that truly brings Kitt to life is the voice.
Kitt, let's go to the casino.
I really don't think gambling is a proper use of foundation equipment.
One of the most iconic parts of the car that I had to have absolutely perfect was the voice. The voice is actually William Daniels. You might have known him from Boy Meets World. I had to have his voice, so I just rummaged through pretty much every show that he was ever on, all Knight Rider episodes, cut out little chunks of him talking, put it in my editing software, and anytime you ask Kitt a question, it will actually respond with William Daniels' voice. So the technology that goes into actually making the car talk is that there's a hidden computer in the back of the car running dictation software. So I have a hidden microphone in the car, so it will actually answer 200 questions that you ask it with William Daniels' voice.
Chris has yet to cross paths with the David Hasselhoff, but hopes one day his car will get the attention of the Knight Rider himself.
If Knight Rider ever came back on the air, I would love it for them to reach out and say, hey, we would love to use your car, and by all means, let's go ahead and do it. But as of now, we just primarily just stick with car shows and making YouTube videos and fun little things with the car. A lot of people ask if I would ever build them a car. Right now, I would definitely say no, but if David Hasselhoff called and said, hey, you know what, I need you to build me a car, by all means, I'd probably quit my day job and get right on it and build David Hasselhoff the best Knight Rider car in the world.
Okay, Anthony Morgan's hovercraft cubicle is lovely, but I want to ride around in Kitt.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Chris spent so much time and money on that thing, I doubt he's going to let you in there.
What if we do tomorrow's show from his garage?
I will book the tickets and we will see after this pack of discoveries.